The media for focusing too much on him, get that, and not enough on his opponent. Kimberly Strassel of the Wall Street Journal agrees. In a new column, Strassel argues that the press is ignoring bombshells from the WikiLeaks dumps and burying Hillary Clinton's, quote, sins. Kimberly Strassel writes, quote, Mrs. Clinton has been exposed to have no core, to be someone who constantly changes her position to maximize political gain. Voters might not know any of this because while both presidential candidates have plenty to answer for, the press has focused solely on taking out Mr. Trump, end quote. According to our research, that's pretty much on target. The 3 evening news shows on the broadcast networks either spent 30 seconds or less last night on the WikiLeaks revelations, or they didn't cover it at all. That was pretty much the same for the morning news shows today. They spent a minute or less on the emails, except for when Trump's running mate, Mike Pence, brought them up. Kimberly, Mike Pence was struggling back and forth and trying to pivot, but the anchors would say, but we have you here, Mr. Pence, and so we want to talk about your running mate and his problems. Was that fair?
No, it wasn't fair. Why? He should be able to talk about the emails and the WikiLeaks revelations as well, because it's important, it's significant, and it goes to the character and quality and her fitness to be president of the United States. So you should be devoting time to it, and you saw that he was on Fox and Friends, and they were able to talk about that here because there wasn't just an agenda to just provide one side of the news cycle stories as it relates to the presidential election. You know, I think Pence is right to fight for topic discussion that he feels is relevant for the voters to be able to make an informed decision come November 8th.
Eric, one of the points of comparison is the New York Times published a story about Donald Trump's taxes that was a leak, right? And then you have WikiLeaks now, and this is a leak, and people are saying, well, if the New York Times published that, why aren't they paying attention to this? The answer from David Barstow of the New York Times is, I only publish stuff where I can confirm that it's accurate and that it's real, and that, I guess the point is, we don't know about the WikiLeaks stuff.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But when you do know, then go ahead and I guess. I don't know. Again, the privacy issues I have a problem with as well. But look at how these shows have treated it. Mind you, the numbers we put up for the evening newscasts, they're only 30-minute newscasts, and about 10 minutes of that is commercial. So 20 minutes, ABC had 9 minutes of 20 on Trump, not 30 seconds on WikiLeaks, 9 minutes on NBC, 5 minutes for Trump, 26 seconds, no mentions on NBC. But the one that really gets me is in the morning shows, where George Stephanopoulos basically runs that ABC morning show.
Oh, my gosh, look at the circle.
0 minutes on the WikiLeaks, 0 minutes. At least CBS This Morning had 1 minute on it, and the Today Show had 30 seconds on it. They have hours upon hours to cover this stuff. That's appalling. And I just wonder if it was Stephanopoulos saying, hey, I used to work for these people. Maybe I'll just look the other way.
Well, I'm not exactly sure how people make decisions on what gets covered and what's not, but I imagine what they want is ratings. So Donald Trump got a ton of free media at the beginning during the primary season from all sorts of media, and it was working in his favor because the networks got ratings. Now they're talking about Donald Trump because it helps them get their ratings. And the WikiLeaks thing obviously is probably not rating as well. But you can see more about this tomorrow because the Wall Street Journal editorial report, which runs on Saturdays at 3 p.m. on Fox News Channel, it's an hour-long program. I love it. Kim Strassel's always on. So she'll be able to, in depth, cover it a little bit more if you're interested. The story I think that's gotten very buried in all of this Trump talk is the one that there's discontent at the FBI at high levels, upset about how the email was handled, and Comey saying that there should be no indictment. That's the story I think that's been way buried, and
that's
again,
the big one.
Could also have to do with ratings, but Donald Trump's not helping himself by continuing to
So, Greg,
feed the fire.
is this liberal media bias writ large?
Well, you know what? When you look at the tiny ratio of coverage devoted to WikiLeaks, WikiLeaks now knows what it feels like to be Marco Rubio or Rick Perry or Jeb Bush, because during the primaries, that's exactly what the ratio was. So clearly, to your point, the media wants Hillary to win. There's no doubt about that, even after devoting billions of dollars of free media to Trump. So do you feel that you were set up? Because you were.
You were.
You were set up. The media,
well, you know
including Hillary.
WikiLeaks.
I know, the only thing that I'm happy about. Hillary and Obama, they knew elevating Donald Trump, giving him an air of respectability in the press as well, turned him into the Republican nominee, then out came the knives.
Only so they could sandbag him, because they knew that they could crush his chances of the presidency.
Well,
and the news organizations that held information to only dump it for maximum throttle impact.
Their fault. We saw it coming and we were suckers.
Well, you know,
well, we didn't have it.
What do you mean?
We didn't have the tape.
I'm just talking about.
No, but you know what, though? The media would be treating Marco Rubio or Jeb Bush or Casey.
Absolutely.
But one of the things we did learn from
Romney.
WikiLeaks is, in fact, the Clinton campaign was far more concerned about Marco Rubio